What up, everyone? Fun fact about me incoming. I used to work for a film concentrated channel which had a ton of Marvel content, and today we are going to sail on similar waters as there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of exciting, entertaining facts about Marvel. But today we will only discuss 5 facts and only about the Marvel comics because the studios may get its own video later in the future. So if you're interested in that, be sure to subscribe and check the bell icon as well. Marvel Comics was actually founded in 1939 under the name Timely Comics by Pop magazine publisher Martin Goodman. The first comic was Marvel Comics number 1 featuring a lot of superheroes and mainly Human Torch and the Submariner. In 1950, Goodman's project was cancelled, so he created his own magazine, which by Timely magazine became Atlas magazines. And then in the 60s, they changed the name to Marvel Comics. This change was also thanks to the new writers and drawers that came to the company, such as Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, who became one of the most famous ones from the branch. From this on, Marvel went on some ups and downs, but it remained until today. Marvel was united in 1998 under Marvel Entertainment, which both means the comics and all the films. This Marvel Entertainment is owned by the Walt Disney Company. So far now there is around 32,000 Marvel comics out there, which means if we try to read all of them, and we assume one is possible in 15 minutes, which is not true though, it would take 333 years to read all. One of the rarest Marvel comic book is Marvel Mystery Comics 128. Marvel Entertainment also worth around $5 billion. As we earlier discussed, Gridman was the founder of Marvel Comics, even though he is not as famous as Stan Lee, for example. So without him, Marvel Comics would have never existed. In 1937, he was on his honeymoon and he planned to get back to the US on Hindenburg. However, they finally changed to a plane as they didn't manage to get a seat next to each other. This was their luck, as the airship suffered a catastrophe, and if they had been on the airship, Marvel would have never come to be. Marvel had the rights over the word zombie between 1976 to 1996, which wouldn't be weird if they had created it. However, that's not the case. The word zombie had existed and appeared in other novels films before. Finally, in 1996, they recognized this trademark as not rational and or forcible, so they changed the trademark to Marvel Zombies. By this, everyone could use the word zombie. Imagine Walking Dead without the word zombies. Wow. Marvel and Stan Lee released a book on how Marvel as a company worked. But the fact is that the way of this in the public could have gone very differently if it happens the way Stan Lee planned it. As yes, he actually posed in nudes for the cover picture. Luckily, it didn't make to the public. Representation does make it to Marvel. It just sometimes has a longer way to go. A child named Anthony Smith had to use a hearing aid, but he decided not to, as none of the superheroes he read wore one. So his mother wrote to Marvel, and Marvel's answer was very appreciated, as firstly they created a mission for Hawkeye when he lost his hearing temporarily, and he used actual hearing aids. Later on, a superhero named Blue Ear was introduced in the comics, who used a hearing aid for tracking the villains. We can argue about how good Marvel is, but this was so sweet of them. These days, it's unbelievable to think Marvel ever had financial issues, but hell they did. In the 90s, they were even close to going bankrupt because of their debts, like $1.7 million to Disney. Marvel managed to get out of the situation, however, it had a huge cost. They needed to fire 1/3 of the workforce, but what is even worse, they had to sell the rights of their characters, such as X-Men and Fantastic Four to Fox or Spider-Man to Sony. Even the Marvel characters got into films by this, and they were very famous, and more famous than ever before. The company had to deal with the problems of it, but fortunately nowadays crossovers are totally possible, like Spider-Man and Iron Man. Or a subscribe and a like, because this is the end of the video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, then a share would be really appreciated. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. And as usual, see ya after the blackout.